They had 1,000 names for humanity invaders, anomalies, walking extinction events, but none of them were spoken out loud, not unless someone wanted the room to go cold. So when Commander Veskari stepped into the shattered hangar and saw a lone figure standing there, unarmed, calm, she didn't breathe, because the soldiers around her weren't whispering a rank. They weren't whispering a title, they were whispering a warning. That's him, the human whose name entire star systems refused to record, and he was looking straight at her. If this opening already has you leaning a little closer to the screen, stick around because this story only gets wilder from here. And hey, if you enjoy deep space mysteries, HFY legends, and those moments where humans absolutely break the rules of the galaxy, go ahead and tap like, subscribe, and share. It truly helps the channel grow. And it keeps more stories like this coming your way. They never spoke a human's name at full volume. Not in open space, not in the military halls, and especially not in a shattered hangar where the air still smelled like burning metal. Commander Veskari had survived war zones, black hole simulations, and entire fleets collapsing in minutes. But the moment she stepped through the smoke and saw him alone, unarmed, standing in the quiet like he owned it, her pulse stuttered. Her soldiers stood frozen, eyes wide, gripping their rifles a little too tightly. One of them whispered, barely audible. "It's him," another swallowed hard. The ghost of Terra? Veskari didn't want to ask. Didn't he want to admit she'd heard the same stories since her academy years, stories dismissed as exaggerated, impossible, human propaganda? But the way her soldiers stared, the way their voices shook, she knew the stories were real. And the human in front of her was the one they feared. He lifted his hand slowly, not threatening, not surrendering, simply waiting, like he wanted her to see he wasn't afraid of anything in this burning battlefield. Not her, not the soldiers aiming weapons at him, not the war. "Commander Veskari," he said. His voice was calm, almost gentle, the kind of tone you hear just before something impossible happens. "You're not supposed to be here." Something inside her recoiled. "How do you know my name?" He gave a small, tired smile. "Because you're the only one who didn't run." Around her, several soldiers flinched. She didn't blame them. Anyone else would have evacuated after the shockwave. Anyone sane would have fled the moment the legend said he was planet-side, because humans weren't like other species. They were new to the galaxy, so new their home planet still wasn't fully mapped in the Central Archives. But somehow they fought like they had lived through 10,000 years of wars no one else remembered. In every battle where humans appeared, physics got nervous. Ships moved too fast, explosions hit too hard, and soldiers claimed they saw humans walking through fire like it was nothing more than warm rain. Of course, no one believed those stories. No one could survive that, then again. No one believed a lone human could dismantle an entire battalion either. And yet, here he was, standing in the ruin of the same battalion that tried to kill him. Veskari kept her weapon raised, though her hands trembled. "What did you do here?" His eyes drifted across the destroyed hangar. "Defended myself?" She wanted to ask how. She wanted to ask why. But the real question burning through her mind was far more unsettling. What are you? Because humans weren't supposed to be this strong. They weren't supposed to have this much endurance. They weren't supposed to be able to break military-grade restraints with their bare hands, something she knew he had done. Because those restraints lay twisted on the floor like melted wire. The human took a single step toward her, slow enough that she saw every movement. Her soldiers raised their weapons instantly. He didn't stop. He simply looked at them with an expression she had never seen in any species before. Not anger, not arrogance, just disappointment. "You don't want to do that," he murmured. A ripple of dread passed through the room. Veskari felt it like cold water down her spine. "Hold your fire," she ordered sharply. No one lowered their rifles, but they stopped trembling. The human tilted his head. "You're smarter than the others. Tell me what you want," she demanded. He exhaled, like the question itself was exhausting. "I want the war to end." Veskari blinked. "That's it." He nodded. "And I think you want that too." For a moment, the hangar was silent except for the distant crackle of burning debris. Then Veskari said the one thing no one ever said to a human warrior. "I am not Your enemy. His expression softened. That's why you're still alive. Her heart sank. Because if what he implied was true, then every soldier lying unconscious, every shattered drone, very collapsed beam, wasn't an act of war. It was mercy. She stepped closer, only a meter away from him now, close enough to see soot across his jaw and blood drying on his knuckles. You didn't kill them, she said, surprised at her own voice. You spared them. Of course I did, he replied. You think humans like war? Her breath hitched. The galaxy had painted humanity as monsters, unstoppable, feral. Yet nothing about this man felt monstrous. He felt tired, worn down, haunted. Then why fight at all? She whispered. He met her gaze with eyes that looked ancient despite his young face. Because when someone threatens the people we care about, humans don't run. A strange chill wrapped around her. Because the stories never explained why humans were terrifying. They only described what they could do. But now she finally understood. It wasn't strength, it wasn't speed, it wasn't endurance. It was loyalty, fierce, unbreakable loyalty that made humans dangerous. Because once they chose someone to protect, they didn't stop. A distant explosion rumbled outside the hangar, snapping Veskari back to reality. Her cum crackled. Commander, reinforcements, inbound hostile units approaching your position. The human's jaw tightened. They're not coming for you, he said quietly. They're coming for me. Veskari didn't know why she stepped between him and the incoming threat. She didn't know why she raised her weapon at the very soldiers she'd been commanding moments ago. Maybe it was intuition, maybe it was fear, or maybe it was respect. But she knew one thing clearly. If they treated him like a monster, he would have no choice but to become one. Stay behind me, she said. The human blinked, surprised. You're protecting me? For now, she said. Because I think the galaxy is wrong about you. He gave her a look she didn't expect, not pride, not relief. Something far rare, hope. When the reinforcements burst into the hangar, they froze at the sight of Veskari standing beside the human. He whispered traveled through them like lightning. He's here. The human. The ghost. Skari raised her voice, steady and strong. No one fires. That's an order. Her reinforcements hesitated, then slowly lowered their weapons. The human looked at her with a quiet, grateful nod. You just changed the course of this war, he said. Maybe, she replied. Or maybe I just stopped us from creating a legend worse than the one we fear. He chuckled softly. Commander, the galaxy doesn't fear me because of what I've done. His eyes darkened. They fear me because of what I could do. She held his gaze. And what's that? He stepped forward, calm and certain. End everything, then he added, almost gently. But I'd rather save it.